I'm your host, Lo, and this is Mic Drop Sun Drip, the show where we drop truth and speak light into you. This is the show for those ready to awaken to their full power, live from love, bask in golden divine light, embody abundance and divine wealth. Drop into your heart and feel it all in your body. You can watch on YouTube or listen on all podcast platforms. Here we go. Oh, and one more thing. You have a spark of the divine in you. Act accordingly.
Oh, oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Like, actually, let me get the mic, but it doesn't really need to be that close to my face. Um, wow. Okay. Mic drop sun drip is about to enter a new level of the divine feminine as we were just dropping in, my girl and I here, on what wants to come through this episode drop. And first and foremost, it is my absolute honor to welcome Lyndsey Schneider, the founder of the High Vibe Soul. I'm very grateful we were guided to each other through that portal. And you are, like I just told you off camera, you are somebody I admire so deeply. You have achieved so much in your life. I was just saying to Linz that I feel like you are one of those few people that I know in my life that has really hit so many what I'm calling milestones on the divine feminine journey of embodiment of the divine feminine. Devoted wife, devoted mother, devoted creator, devoted lover, devoted leader. We were just channeling Goddess Isis, who's very much a part of Lyndsey and I's journey, but Isis is the goddess that embodies devoted love on all fronts. And she's a warrior at the same time, and her sacred power, sex magic. And so this episode is going to be very feminine, and we both look so hot. So hell yeah. But Linz, please give some background on you, introduce yourself however you see fit, whatever you feel called to share. And I would also love to make sure you plug how people can work with you and follow you.
Yeah, so I'll first start with how you can work with me. We'll start backwards here. So I'm the founder of the High Vibe Soul Company. You can work with me if you'd like to listen to my meditations. I've got a whole catalog of meditations on there. I do energy healing sessions. They're called angelic energy healing. They're led by the archangels. And I'm also offering on a very, very limited basis because I'm a mama of three. Mentorship sessions for those who have
Ooh.
worked with me through energy healing. Yeah, those that want to go deeper. And this fall, coming tentatively with the new moon in September, the High Vibe Soul app will be launching, and that is going to be a whole catalog of meditations. I mean, I can't even tell you how many have come through in the last just month. And then I'm including all kinds of videos from yours truly. So it'll be things like conscious motherhood, how to prepare for pregnancy, like from a
Oh,
physical level, but also spiritually. It's all the things that I wish I had. It's going to be how to raise your frequency in a very
yeah.
grounded, like earthy kind of way.
Yeah, yeah.
And then all kinds of things on parenting, like things that I've had to move through, like school anxiety with your child. How do you move through that? And looking at it from all the different lenses, spirituality from the earth lens, the 3D lens, what you can do. So just kind of
Mm.
all of my knowledge dropped into one simple app. And that's really what I'm focusing on right now, above all.
I'm gonna need all that, okay? Because that part of my life will come very soon, and send thoughts and prayers in the best way. And like you said, we think we know, but we don't know. You know?
You have no idea. Motherhood is the biggest transformation, and there's absolutely no way that I can prepare you for it, but I'm happy to share my guidance. Just know it is a portal to a completely different version of you, and each child activates something new within you
Yeah.
and creates a new version of you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the wildest ride I've ever been on, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah. Oh my God, I feel that in my core, my heart. I'm definitely contracted to have 3 to 5 children. So again, send prayers. And it's all I've ever wanted is my partner, my children. We've talked about this. I've talked about it many times. I remember doing our session last year when I was channeling for you, and after was so moved by what was coming through me about family and marriage and love and divine love and being a mother for you, again as a channel. And my guides were just reminding me, this would have been last summer, right around almost a year ago. They were reminding me like, this is your purpose, remember? And again, purpose is vast and it's a whole lifetime of, a lot of seasons, right? But I think people are seeing that purpose is far beyond career, right? Purpose is the whole life, the mission, the whole life of who you're here to embody, who you're here to help, and how you're meant to show up. And I'm assuming that when you became a mother, you started to show up differently in the world. Is that fair to say?
100%. I mean, my journey in motherhood was the complete opposite of what I thought it would be. I started that journey as very much I call myself a recovering perfectionist, but I was kind of a control freak,
Sure.
perfectionist. I prepared for it, as you would imagine a
Right.
perfectionist does,
Right.
reading all the books, doing all the classes, learning how to do sleep schedules, and all the stuff that honestly it doesn't matter. And when I was thrown into motherhood with my amazing son Hudson 7.5 years ago, I actually had postpartum anxiety and depression like right off the bat. It was like I had a beautiful day with him and then everything went dark. And there's nothing that could have prepared me for that. But that was very much me being launched into one of many spiritual awakenings and my journey into self-discovery and mindfulness
Okay.
and journaling and gratitude practice and prayer and a little bit of meditation at the time. It was like, how can I come back to myself without going to
Yeah.
medication, which no shade, some people need medication, but I was like, I am not going there. I need to figure this out. This is part of my journey as a mother, and I'm going to come out stronger the other end. And I did.
Mic drop. Did you feel that during when you had Hudson, did you feel, or after, I should say, after you had Hudson, did you feel like you mourned the part of you and the aspect or version of you that had hyper that was able to be independent and really free? Did you feel like, yeah, it's almost like, did independence start to take on a different meaning for you, or did you mourn? Because I feel like we also need to have a conversation around like, why do we feel as being a parent that we're not free anymore? Like, because freedom comes in many flavors. But yeah, what was your relationship to freedom and your older self that like was able to do whatever it wanted at
Yeah.
any given time, you
So
know?
this is really interesting. So my pre-Hudson self, I was still drinking alcohol, still going out with my friends,
Sure.
still going on all
Right.
these trips and all the
Right.
things.
Right.
And I told one of my girlfriends who was having a bachelorette party, I said, "Oh, I'm gonna be so ready to leave this child. I'm gonna schedule my flight now. Like I'll be
Yeah.
ready." And so I scheduled a flight for when he was, I want to say like 2.5, 3 months old, like
Okay.
super new,
Okay.
very naively thinking
Brand
like,
new.
oh yeah, it'd be great. I'll just get away for 2 days and that's what I'm gonna need. And when the time come, I mean, I didn't want to be separated from this child for more than like 30 minutes. Like it felt like my heart was outside of me. He's like a part of me.
Yes.
And so even just going to yoga, I was like, oh, I felt so anxious about it. And so I went on that trip. My husband convinced me. He's like, you have to go. You said you would go. You've had this scheduled. You haven't seen your girlfriends in a long time. Just do it. His mom came in. I'm like, okay. I made it 24 hours. I was bawling my eyes out the next day. I flew back home. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not ready to leave him yet. So it was the complete opposite of what I thought it would be. Now, once you have the second and the third, it's a little different. And it also depends on the child's personality.
Of course.
Hudson and I are such deep soul fam. When he was little, he used to call me sister. He would always say, hey, sister, hey, sister. And I was like, why do I feel like he's my brother? And I'm like, oh, we must have a past life very recently where we were sister and brother. And I
That's
still
right.
feel that
Oh, I feel that.
connection with
Oh, I
him.
feel that. I feel that. I feel
So
that.
he and I just have that like deep, deep bond. And yeah, I never wanted to leave him. It was the complete opposite of what I thought.
Hmm. Thank you for sharing all of this. I know how
Yeah.
personal it is, and obviously share whatever you feel called to share, no pressure. But, you know, one of the things that has struck me about you is that you relatively launched into your family life and had kids pretty decently young, and your husband and all that, and that's been a divine union. But you are no stranger to deep work within that container. A lot of people think that let's get the work out of the way before we enter into that portal. My journey is actually a bit like that, although the work never ends. The marathon continues, right? But it feels like, and tell me your perspective on this, that your journey has a bit more to do with inside of having your own family, marriage, and your career and all that still has to get activated in that and the work that's still there and all the work you've already done. The work, like your growth has been, your soul picked it to be like within all of those timelines. What are your
Yeah,
thoughts on that?
100%. I think it's really interesting too. My husband basically just has to keep up with me. And so I'm always feeling like I'm doing all this work and like,
Yeah.
he's not changing as quickly. But like this poor man, he doesn't know what version I'm going to be from month to month, like who I'm going to be next year. I mean, he can hardly keep up because I am
Right.
growing and shifting so
Yeah.
rapidly. And I mean, that's one thing about becoming a mom. You do literally shift overnight.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. But then it was like with each child, I would have a new spiritual awakening or gifts would open up and again, he had to just kind of like keep up and get to know this new version of me and slowly it was like come with me, slowly come with me. And you don't realize until you've been married now, we're going on 10 years and I
Mm.
think almost 12 together,
Oh,
thir 12, 13 together. You don't realize that when you're starting out. You just think you're
yeah.
always going to be so in love. And no, you have to continuously fall in love with each other over and over and over because you are different people every month, every year, whatever it may be, every decade. And so you have to keep recommitting. And that was
Mm.
something that you helped me with tremendously. We had this incredible trip that you recommended in Duck, North Carolina.
Mm.
And it was like a recommitment ceremony. It was like, okay, here's how we've done the last 10 years. Now what? Now what do we want for these next
Right.
10? Like we hit all those.
Yeah, it's done. It's complete. I mean,
Hmm.
quite literally, the phase, those versions of us, babe, are gone. So who's next? Who are we going to become next and together in the relationship unit, which I like to think is a third entity. The relationship
Yeah.
itself, the marriage is an entity, is a consciousness. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. It was truly an honor to channel that for you. And as everybody knows, I really am so intensely psychotically focused on integrity that I'm like, this better be right. You better not be fucking with me or Lyndsey because she don't got time to waste and neither does her husband. And then when you had messaged me after your trip, I think you guys went last fall,
Yeah. Last
24, right?
September. Hmm.
Which is a divine month for there. I'm going in August again, my second trip, same week as 2022 when I first went, and I'm shook. I don't know what miracles lay ahead for me, but when you had messaged me that you went and had this recommitment and the energy was really calling you and your husband there, like really, and I was just the vessel to tell you that. I was bawling, crying
Oh.
so hard because I could feel the truth and I could feel that there was, again, I know there's much work after that that continues, but there is something about loving someone through all the seasons of life. It's always been my goal. It's something I desire. I am a one man woman. I do not want all these men. I can barely keep up with one. And I don't want to siphon or spread or, fragment my energy. One person deserves my devotion. And that's where I want to go next. I think that devotion is very distorted in our culture. It's been for a long time. A lot of people throughout the centuries have not been able to be to be married to the people they actually love. That's a whole other topic. Then you come into modern dating with apps and shit, and everybody is real self-involved, real selfish, bad selfish, and if they don't like how you brush your teeth, you're out. And it's this easy come, easy go energy. And it's also a manifestation of the collective's healing that still needs to be had with romantic relationships because people are numbing out and escaping inside of relationships. And then if we open up conversations around hookup culture, that's a whole other dark entity that we can go into. So, because you are in a devoted marriage and you have chosen with your free will, which I think is the real lesson for everybody listening, Lyndsey did not have to stay in that marriage. Neither did her husband. That is a choice. Marriage license or not, it don't matter. You can get rid of that shit. You can get divorced. It's no problem. Like, whatever. We'll figure it out. Recommitting to somebody choosing them again and again and again through all those seasons is a very difficult task. Okay. So talk to me about what you've learned about yourself, your husband, and devotion itself. Like, what's your perspective on devotion as you continue on this journey with him?
That's such an interesting question. You know, he is a Taurus sun, which drives me nuts because he can be really stubborn, but they are the most loyal
Oh
people.
yeah.
It's like once you are
Oh,
in, you are in.
that's it.
And he has actually taught me, I would say, more about devotion because there have been so many times where I get heated. Like I'm fiery. I'm water and fire. Like we
Me
have the
too.
same astral. I know we have like the same astrology but flipped.
Yeah.
And so I get fiery and I'll just be like, screw this, like I'm out. And he's the one who actually keeps me so grounded and who's like, no, this is like, no, I'm not giving up. Like he's just, no, you're not leaving. So I would say it's really been more him teaching me about devotion and what it means. I think, like I said, it's just you have to continue to be curious about each other because you're falling in love with new versions.
Yes.
You can't just assume anything
Yeah.
because we're changing and shifting, especially this day and age. Like it's exponential.
It's part
So
of
I
it.
think curiosity and for us, it's like finding those little mini moments. I mean, when you have
Mm.
three little kids, like we had three kids in 4 years. So it was really intense. We were in survival mode for a portion of that for
Yeah.
sure. And it's like, how do you find those little moments to like reconnect throughout the day? I know that my touch is really calming for him.
Yeah.
And his presence is very grounding for me. So it's like, okay, knowing
Ooh, I
that, when
love
can I just
that.
like touch him, or when can I just stand next to him and feel his presence? Just like those
That.
little moments make such a difference and help contribute to that like continuation of the relationship.
Oh, that is yummy. Well, it's funny because physical touch is my number one. I always feel like touch specifically is the most, again, my opinion. It does happen to be my top sense in human design too. So it's been kind of like confirmed. I never understood why, like words don't do anything for me. People can say all kinds of beautiful things to me about, or like he could say all kinds of things to me about me, and that's wonderful, and I love it. But there's something about touch that can't lie. Like words are words and it's powerful. Of course, we know our spoken word in our throat is very powerful and you can smell when someone's not genuine about it. However, there's nothing quite like, I think touch can't lie. There's
Yeah.
no there's no lying in the feeling of a touch.
Well,
Whether
especially when you're clairsentient. Like,
that's probably
yeah.
one of the aspects for me that make it so potent. And, I think that what's interesting about what you shared and just so beautiful is how you guys learned that about each other. Like, I'm sure that wasn't day one you figured that out, right?
No.
And now you've come, it sounds like, to appreciate it and really work with that. So your, his presence is calming to you and grounds you, and your touch calms and grounds him. To me, I was seeing it clairvoyantly as you were saying it, and it's almost like you both, in your own unique ways, go, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Because I think this phrase not going anywhere is a big topic. You know, I was channeling, or I was on a podcast last year with the Oracle, Christina, when she was channeling the Oracle and her Oracle. And the Oracle said something to me because we were talking about like, what is this notion of thinking relationships are supposed to be easy, especially romantic, but they're not. What is easy? Ease is one thing. Easy, and the one like, what most people that are in what would be considered easy relationships are not really in love. I'm just going to say it, mic drop. Okay. And I say that with love, with love, with love, with love, because those people might be lessons for you. They might be the only people that can teach you what your soul needs to learn right now in this phase. But the oracle said to me, well, when running's off the table, how do you show up? I said, oh shit. For you and I, that's exactly
Wow.
when running is off the table, how do we show up in romantic relationships, in marriage? Okay. Commitment is commitment. And I'm very interested in the version of me that I have to step into when that commitment is at my door, when I'm ready, when we're both ready to devote and commit to each other. Okay. Because both people got to be ready for that. But to your point, you can be ready and then the work begins. And it's like, okay, am I ready every day? But when running is no longer off the table, and I want everybody listening to think about this in any area of your life, with your health, where your body's like, can't run from me anymore. Now I'm screaming at you to fix your shit or health or whatever. Relationships, you can't run from me because I love you. Part of my lesson, unworthiness, you run. That's what unworthiness does. Unworthiness runs, abandonment chases. I'm simplifying it and over, and of course there's nuance, but unworthiness is you're probably going to hurt me anyway. So why don't I just be the first to run and reject or leave or whatever? Not even to reject, it's really just leave. Boom. Okay. So when running is no longer off the table with House of Low, my company, with High Vibe Soul, your company, okay? These are entities, right? Are we going to run from our children when shit gets hard? I want everybody to think about your divine life partner as a child in a way, because we're treating everyone we love as the inner child they once were, meaning that is an aspect of them, not the whole aspect. And there's aspects where we have to be called up into deeper levels of maturity in relationships. However, would you run if you were, with your divine life partner as kids? Would you just like leave them, you know? Or if you're look at your divine life partner as the child they once were, right? Would you treat them like the way we do? Would we talk to them the way we do? Our actual children, right? Our friends, our careers, our businesses, our parents. When shit gets hard, humans want to run. It's like a human thing, right? And then you layer on these other things. So I want everybody to really think about when running is no longer off the table, how do I show up? Okay. Because when there's friction, we think it's bad. You can pretty much date and marry anybody when things are great. Let's call it what it is. You want to choose the partner you want to be with through the worst of circumstances, not the best. In dating. That's why it's the second the going gets tough, people are like, I think I'm out. It's like you can go out to dinner and fuck anybody. I mean, let's call it what it is. I'm sorry to say it, but you can. Okay. It's all great with anybody. Put them all across the table. But, commitment requires friction and contrast. It's like, am I committed when it's good or am I committed all in? And I'm obsessed with this phrase all in. So talk to me about like your perspective on all that because you really are and have lived this.
Yeah, I mean, he's a mirror for me.
Yeah.
We trigger the shit out of each other like every single day.
Yeah.
And we are very similar in some ways, which is probably what brought us together, but we're extremely different, but it's very much like two sides of the coin,
Oh
if
yeah.
that makes sense, where
Oh
it's
yeah.
not like we're completely not aligned. It's
No.
just different perspectives of the
Yeah.
same coin. And so that is something I have to remind myself very often. And it also, that's where the growth comes from. It comes
That's
from your
right.
triggers.
That's right.
So it's important. I love that you said that about the inner child too, because I've actually in meditation, not with my husband, but for certain family members, that was something that came through to heal my relationship with them was, hey, let's go back to their childhood and I want you to talk to their inner child and
Oh.
remember what they were going through. And that's kind of how they got to this place now as adults. And it gives you so much compassion for the other person. It completely changed my relationship with one family member in particular who has no idea, but it did. And I'm showing up differently now with them, all because of these meditations with the inner child. So I love that you touched on that.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I'm taking that with me as well. I tend to um channel the higher selves of people and have conversations that way, but the inner child I have not done. And whoa, that is next level shit. This is why you're doing what you're doing. And that's where I want to go next. So you're this devoted mother, devoted wife, devoted to yourself and your own personal growth, your health, your body, all the things, your family of origin, all that, friends. Now we get into your higher self, your soul's like, and now the next part of your mission shall begin, where you are going to build something big to contribute to the new earth. And you're a new earth builder and leader. And you're like, I am. We all are. We're like, we are. But we
Yep.
are like, we're the leaders, your soul's ancient. I mean, I know your soul from so long ago. My God. I feel like you and I keep remembering layers of our soul connection. Yeah. So with the high vibe soul, which I know it hasn't always been called that, why don't you take us through again, whatever you feel called to share, but as you're, leading your family with your husband and your mothering and you're doing all these things, you're going through your own personal transformations constantly. I know you've gone through so much death and rebirth like all of us. How did this what the high vibe soul is today, how did this sort of like get downloaded at first for you? Like what was the seed it began as and how has it evolved to be what it is today?
Yeah, I'm going to take you like just a little bit
Go for
back
it.
further
Yes, please
because
do.
you said something in the beginning that I was just like, oh, my girl. I always knew I was meant to be a mother. Always. Like, I actually just thought that was going to be my whole purpose because I would go from job to job, and there were aspects of these jobs that I liked or I was
Yeah.
really good at,
Right.
but it didn't feel right. And so I remember telling my husband, maybe I'm just meant to be a mom, and like, that's okay. I'll be a fucking great mom. And he was like, yeah, you will. And then about a year into having Hudson, I'm like, this isn't it. Like I love being a mom, but there's more. And that's when this whole discovery of like what is my life purpose outside of motherhood, I started praying about it, asking about it, journaling about it.
That.
But my intuition wasn't clear enough. It was still really muddy then.
Sure.
And then Kenzie came along in 2019. I got pregnant with her, and she really blasted open my intuition, and my clairsentience came back online and like all these things. So then we start going deeper. And I was like, you know what? I'm supposed to help women. And I'm not quite sure how,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't want anyone to go through postpartum anxiety and depression. Like, I'm going to help them not go through that. I'm going to teach them what I've learned. And so I became a postpartum doula. And so I was helping women in their postpartum. Did you not know that? Yeah. I was helping women in their postpartum period.
My
And
God.
that was short-lived. I actually opened my own business. I knew I was meant to be a business owner. I opened my own
Yeah.
business. It was starting to take off,
Yep.
and I got pregnant with Coco really quickly.
Oh,
Yeah. And so I couldn't do it for too much longer because as you get bigger and bigger, it's just too much. And so after I had Coco, I went through another really dark, the darkest postpartum anxiety and depression that I could have imagined with an unplanned C-section
oh no. Yeah.
and very, very poor hospital care where they were straight up
Oh, this is
ignoring me while
hard.
I was in the hospital. I'm pushing the call button, crying my eyes out, and they're just not coming. Yeah, it was horrible. And so this was, but it was all, just as it was meant to be, even though there's parts of me that still wish I hadn't
Painful.
gone through it. It took me a few years to really work through all of that trauma. But again, like this is part of my purpose. Like one of the things that I feel like I'm meant to help women with is birth trauma and like womb healing and that kind of thing. So that because of this crazy postpartum depression and anxiety I was experiencing, that's when my soul was like, all right, girlfriend, you've got to completely overhaul these last parts of your life that you've been fighting. Like you need to meditate every day. You've got to start doing energy healing. Like you've got to, my soul was pushing me to these things. It was like, there's no more kind of being in the spiritual closet. You got to dive out and you need to become a leader. You need to learn these things so then you can teach them.
Wow.
And so I pulled myself out of it again after 6 months. And that's what brought me into my love for meditation because I always thought that meditating was just, I would put on these meditations and I'm like, okay, I kind of feel better. Like I'm counting my breath or, they're kind of boring, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I wasn't really finding anything I was obsessed with. And so then I was like, you know what? I should just create my own, very, manifester of me. And so I created my own thinking this is just going to be for me.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it'd be 9 o'clock at night and I would just start channeling. And I'd be like looking at my husband, I got to go downstairs and record this. And a meditation would just pour through me. And so I actually put them on the Insight Timer app to start, like very,
Yeah.
unprofessional. And
Yeah.
they took off. There were like thousands and thousands of people were listening, and I was like, oh my God,
Oh my
okay,
God.
I think I'm onto something
Yep.
here.
Yep.
So that's
There
really
are.
what sparked it all. And then it just kind of spiraled from there where I was thinking, I know I'm meant to open another business and I think this is it. And I think that I can weave meditation with energy healing and mentorship and all the things that I love, personal growth, self-development into one sort of business container, whatever that looks like. And I've just
Yeah.
been letting my soul show me the way. And it was very clear that I was meant to create an app
Yeah.
a few years ago. I got that message and I felt very overwhelmed by it up until this
Yeah.
point. And now I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm finally ready.
Letting our soul lead the way. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Wow, what a story, babe. Oh my God. Thank you for sharing. I learned a lot. I didn't know some of that about you. And I just love how each of your kids busted in here and was like, and another they basically ushered all your death and rebirth cycles in. Don't you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's one on the way. But
Oh boy.
that one to me feels like more rebirth than a death. It feels like I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing right now publicly. I'm seeing you in a white priestess robe after him. Like there's this version of you that is just so you already are, right? But there's a new level of regality. It's very queen, but not just queen, the way we talk about queen. Regality, you're almost going to be you're not even going to sweat saying too much. Like you're going to be, your presence is going to be all that's really needed. And therefore you won't get burned out or exhausted from needing to talk or, there's no more explaining. He is the final piece of, they're just showing all of you coming fully together. Oh, I'm going to cry.
Oh, I love that so much.
I
That
hope that
just
was
makes me
okay
so
to say publicly. We
happy.
could edit that out
Yeah.
if you want me to. I just had
No,
to
I
say it.
love that. I feel like I have the soul urge. So I love numerology. I've definitely
Yeah.
done it in
Yeah.
past
Yeah.
lives
Yeah.
and I just have such a resonance with it. And when I learned that I'm a soul urge, soul desire 33, which is like the divine, not only Christ consciousness, but the divine mother.
Yes. Yes.
And so ever since I learned that, that's part of my like prayer to my higher self every day is like help me become this like divine mother leader for
That's
anyone who needs my leadership.
That's it, baby. And I'm gonna need it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need it when the
I'm
time comes.
here. I'm
And I can't
here.
wait for your app. And, obviously when the time comes, we will make sure to promote it to the House of Low community because there are so many people, parents, not just mothers, but parents that need it to your point. And I guess because this is your expertise, an area that you focus on, help people with, and channel on a lot, talk to us about like parenting and the family, the what I often channel as the new earth family unit. What is your perspective on how the family unit needs to evolve? What really needs to change when it comes to not only parenting, like parent to child, but also the unit as a whole between like the father and the mother being in union and continuing that divine union journey, the kids, like what are you shown or what do you feel as you live it as well in your life?
I feel that it's very much a co-creation. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, it was such an authoritative environment
Oh yeah.
with one parent in particular. And it was very much kind of like, I'm the parent, do as I say, don't question it. If you do, you go to your room. That's done. Like that's gone. It's a co-creation.
Over.
My children, I mean, especially like Hudson, who's 7, he can really express himself.
Yeah.
The guidance that they give me is crazy because they don't have that filter yet.
Nope.
They're still so pure in their channel. And so I will ask him questions for his perspective on things. And I'm telling you, like the things this child tells me are better than most adults.
I
It's a co-creation. And he also, 2 of my kids are projectors. And so like they see so deeply. And
and
you are too,
far.
right?
Hmm.
Like you can see so high level and so deeply and see the truth.
Right.
And so I feel like nurturing the intuition is so important. We
It is.
cannot shut off their channel. We need to nurture their channel. Whatever they're telling us, we got to take it at face value.
Yeah.
But at the same time, these kids are very spicy and they need boundaries. So
Yep.
this whole like, at first I thought gentle parenting, like, oh, that's the move. I- I'm not saying there aren't great things in it, but we need more boundaries than that. Like to me, it's
Yeah.
conscious parenting, but it's like conscious spiritual parenting, intuitive parenting. And every child needs something different. You cannot apply the same template to one child as the next. They all need different things from each of us. And I think
Mm.
another big piece that my husband and I have realized is that when you become a parent, it's basically like a microscope of how was I parented? And here's all my triggers in this little person. And now the way my parents parented me, it's this automatic reaction.
Yeah.
And so it's like taking all the subconscious from your childhood to light and looking at, all right, what are we going to keep? What are we going to let go of? Like that was a conversation we had very early on. That's so important. And especially because we grew up in different ways too with different parents, even though there are some similarities.
Yeah. And so many of us are here to break the cycles of like they were the last ones in the yeah. And that can be a whole conversation and I know it's very triggering, but it is real. And being a cycle breaker is likely why anyone listening, you've had a very hard life. Okay? Because when you're the first in line, as I like to say, the first dogs out in space to build the new earth, shit's you're bumping up against millions and thousands of people that had one belief system and you're implementing an entirely different one that's never existed fully on Earth yet, right? Because ancient Egypt, yes, we're pulling from ancient Egypt. However, we're pulling from Atlantis. However, we're pulling from Lemuria. However, those societies went dark. We were there. We were there. Lyndsey and I were there. Okay? I remember. Atlantis was the worst. But ancient Egypt had slaves. So let's call it what it is, okay? No, there's really there's been very few times on earth where these frequencies of divine love, divine truth, divine compassion, divine light, divine abundance, all the words, all the principles of the cosmos have fully been purely anchored here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's this energy of like we are building something from scratch. And to do that, you need millions and millions and billions of people, right? That's why the death of the guru and this energy of like these one name celebrities. And I get it, but I do think part of the issue is that like people think only certain people are leaders, right? Yes, everybody's unique, and some people have bigger energy, or some people are here to embody certain aspects of things in this lifetime. But to be honest, if everyone were to rise into their leader, the new earth would be here. It's people's limiting beliefs that Lauren's more powerful than them. So therefore, I'm going to spend my time being triggered by Lauren versus looking at what Lauren triggers in me and how I can grow into my leader. Because people have triggered me throughout my life and I've chosen to grow from it. That was my free will, right? Versus looking at Lyndsey and saying, why does she have a family and have all these blessings and how come I don't have them? It's like, homie, we're all equal under the creator. It might not look like that on earth, but we are. Okay. So find your passion, find your purpose, find your power. And it's not even about finding. To me, it's remembering your power because power is distorted on earth. Everybody's out of integrity, right? And those of us that came here to be of fully integrity are bumping up against the fact that there's this slippery slope, right? And I'm sure for you, when your meditations were blowing up, there was a piece of you that was like, oh God, I don't know if I want to get big like that. Because those of us that are very pure in our intentions know the pitfalls of what happens, right? When you blow up. Talk to me about how you think about anything I just said, but also like, because your your stuff is going to blow up in many ways. It's going to reach a lot of people over the course of this lifetime. Is that something you think about? Is it something you channel about or are preparing for? And again, blowing up is subjective. What does that mean? But, I think about like all of a sudden overnight, if 10,000 people tune into this show, that's going to change some things versus like the 3,000 that tune in right now, right? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. It's interesting. So I saw this vision a long time ago with these meditations where it was like I saw the products and I saw how it would evolve. And I was like, okay, I can do that. And then as it started to become a little more busy, I would say, I pulled back because I'm like, how is this going to affect my family? And I had all this fear that I'm still kind of overcoming in a way because it's not, I've gotten past the fear of being seen and what people think about me. I'm
Right,
done. Like
right.
that's done.
We're
I've
done.
moved
We're
through
done.
that. Yeah,
Bro, we're
I'm
done.
good. That it took me a long time, but I got there.
A
For
lifetime, but
me,
we're done.
yeah, basically. But for me, now it's more like, how is this going to affect my family? And even like with my podcast, like the things that I say, who's listening, and
I
how is this
know.
going to affect my kids when I'm talking about Kenzie having fairies floating around her face and things like that. I mean, that's more what I'm coming up against, but
Yeah.
no, I mean, I'm excited. I don't really think about that to be honest. I just constantly am asking like bring the people that need my work to me and how can I serve who I'm meant to serve and just kind of like keeping my head down
Yeah.
even knowing that larger vision if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love what you said because it is like holding that vision, holding it or letting it go, detachment, of course, but it's also like, because I think there's an aspect of us that can build to keep things small. And like to make real change on earth, we need these things to be reaching a lot of people. We do, right? The masses are what make change, not, five people knowing about mic drop sun drip. It's just what it is, right? So I think when the intention is for us to impact massive change spread across the earth, it's a different thing. But to your point, I've always said like my internal compass is I don't care how big this gets. I really don't. My soul kind of does. My soul's like, we have to be calibrated to reach a lot of people so we can affect change, like real change in this lifetime if we have the chance to. So it's this dichotomy because our ego don't care. Like we're happy in our lives. Like we want peace at the end of the day. Selfishly, like I want peace for me and my family and my children. And I do not want to disrupt their life. And they also are unique souls that have unique missions. And so in many ways, like you said, there's like what's for us and then like what's for them. And sometimes it's the same and sometimes it's not, you know? That's why I think parenting is changing too, because these souls are ancient. Like some of them are brand new souls, we know that, but some of them are ancient. I was just at a dinner the other day with a partner of mine at Google for my business marketing stuff, and I was channeling on his kids. LOL. Don't you guys love that I'm like in the 3D world and I'm the divine sends me our people all the time. You would love it, Lens. I was like, yeah, I'm getting messages about your kids. You ready to hear it? Or do you want to hear it? He's like, oh my God, absolutely. He's like, me and my wife, we need to know because these kids seem different. I'm like, oh, they're different. And one of the kids, I gotta share this story publicly. I go, one of your kids is ancient. Like, don't even try to tell him what to do. He already kind of knows what to do. I'm telling you, amidst the basics of parenting, like he really does kind of know what to do. And he goes, well, it's funny because the other day we're at dinner, his sister took one of his toys away from him, like just grabbed it from him, and he looked at her and was like, whatever her name is. I think her name was Eliza. He was like, Eliza, do you like when would you like if I took that from you? This kid's 7 years old, like Hudson. Would you like if I took that from you? Like, how would that make you feel? Like, so even keeled. And Eliza, and like, my friend was like, he goes through this whole scenario. He's like 70 years old talking, and Eliza just goes, here you go. Like, she was just like, okay, this is
Oh.
a 7-year old. Okay. Like, and I can't wait for these kids coming through me. Lord knows I already know the souls. And we've talked about that, which is a whole other topic. And I know you know a lot about spirit babies. What's your advice for men or women or both that are already feeling slash connecting to their spirit babies? What is your perspective on that?
Mm. I actually just created a meditation if you need help on this.
I
It'll be
do.
out
I
soon.
do.
It'll be out soon. I don't think you do. I think you're good, but gosh, I mean, just be open and like you mentioned non-attachment, that is like don't be attached to anything. Just be completely open with whatever they're asking. Be open to how they want the birth to go. Be open to when they
Mhm.
want to come in. Like it's not on your timeline. Um, just kind of do what you need to do for your body. I mean, there's very specific things that I've been asked to do for my body to prepare because we want another child.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say with these kids, like this is a little bit later down the line, but one thing that's coming in really strongly right now is just recognize that your children that are coming in, they each have very, especially right now, very specific soul gifts that they're bringing. And our job is to recognize those early on because you will. You will see it by like maybe even 1 year old, like 1, 2. I mean, I can tell you my kids right now, I can tell you exactly what I think they're going to do or like some form of,
Yeah.
and nurture that. Start nurturing that as early on as you can and honor their capacity and their energy. I think our job is not to teach them as much as it is to guide them in being like a human and like moving through their emotions and figuring out how to come back to center and not letting them get completely programmed,
Right.
not
Right.
overdoing the activities, like being aware of who you're surrounding them with. There's just so many other things to worry about versus like teaching them their ABCs, like, right?
Boom. Mic
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah.
Mic fucking drop. Mic fucking drop. Well, what's funny is we'll end here, I couldn't agree more with everything you just said. It's so important. And also honor that they are a soul in a body that has its own lessons and its own
Mhm.
journey. Okay? We are here to steward a healthy environment for their blossoming, y'all. Okay. Not projecting onto them that we wish we went to Yale. I mean, I definitely don't, but some people, right? Projecting onto them what we wish we had done. No, 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 no. And by the way, they're going to rebel. So just try not to stop them from, try to not push them into rebelling. And I love what you said. Great point. Honor their capacity. Just because, so some of the, kids that we bring through might be different from other kids, right? They're going to be in some ways, but they're going to be, they might stand out. They might not have the capacity to do a 7 hour school day. Okay. So school's going to change. People are homeschooling more than ever. We can have conversations about that. But one of the things that's wild about my journey with my spirit babies, there's many, is I know their names and I already know their names. It's very interesting, my journey, how far in advance I've been trusted with this stuff. And again, I'm open if it changes, but they pretty much already know. And wait till I tell their father. But FYI, here's the deal. Because they've already told me, but my son already has shown me what he's here to be. And he has a very big career ahead of him, like a very important, publicly well-known career, if you catch my drift. And so I'm just like, I'm sorry, what? And he's like, mm-hmm. And I ask him, I'm like, and why does mommy need to know that? Oh, mommy needs to know. You don't need to understand why. I'll tell you when I get there. You need to know right now. And a lot of it I'm realizing is because it connects to my journey with being publicly well known. Because if I don't get comfortable with it, how can I nurture an environment where he is comfortable with it from, like you said, very young? Because he is so gifted in this area of life that there's no stopping it. The universe will just push him into, it's what he's here to do. And they've shown me that a lot of these kids are very focused. The souls, like, yeah, they're five, in these baby bodies, but they really aren't going to be dabbling too much. Or, excuse me, maybe that's the wrong word, questioning. They're not going to, do I want to be an astronaut or a fireman? They're going to be like, I know I'm here to be an astronaut. That's
A
it. And that's a
hundred
little different,
percent.
right? That's different because in before, I think other generations, including ours, it was a lot of the exploring. And again, I'm not trying to generalize or blanket statement, but they're so coded and their souls are planning for their human bodies to be so coded for purpose that a lot of these kids, their purposes are going to start younger. And that's why the typical school system won't be enough for them because like I was talking to my friend about his kids, they're way ahead in school. He's like, I don't even know what to do because they feel like they're being pushed uh they're being forced to slow down because they're ahead of the kids around them, but by like a long shot. Not, oh, move them 1 year ahead. You can't have a 12-year-old in 12th grade. It's just a tricky thing, right? So, there's a lot we're going to be met with. And then that calls up in us the programming we are under from our parents, right? Or society. So I think, like you said, the ego just has to die, especially with our children, because they're depending on us. They picked us, y'all. They said, Lyndsey, all of your kids have said, Lyndsey and your husband, they're the ones that can create the cocoon to nurture us, right? Low and her, like they're the ones. And we are aspects of them. They're aspects of us. So it's all connected, right? And I think there's something powerful about if you are a mother or a father or both channeling your spirit babies and they're giving you, like you said, this little recipe card. That's what I feel like my kids give me. It's because you have to very well master the things you're going to help them master. Boom. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
So now, before I recorded my first episode of Mic Drop Sun Drip, I'm getting ready in the mirror, getting the makeup on. I'm like completely in the human, right? And all of a sudden I hear, when the downloads come in, I feel like the energy is like this. Listen. And I'm like, what? I'm like mid eyeliner about to poke my eye out and I hear do it for your kids. And I was like, just bawling. I'm like putting the mascara on while bawling and it's running. And I'm like, okay, this is not for Lolo. Okay. Do I find satisfaction in doing this? Of course. It's bigger than all of us, my loves. And so let that be the fuel for all of our purposes because it's not enough to, if you have a bunch of money and you're alone, it's pretty boring without other humans, right? Family is everything. And the divine is asking all of us to restore the sacred family codes of earth because they've been broken forever, right? So I know we're at time. I would love to hear if there's anything you'd like to leave everybody with, and then plug one more time how people can work with you, and then give us like a little bit more about the app and when it's September, right? It's coming out.
Yeah. Yeah. You touched on so many things that I've been feeling and also sharing with people lately. I
Yeah.
don't even know where to begin.
I know.
But
Sorry, that was a
one,
rant.
no, one thing that you sort of touched on that I was like, oh, we have to go back into this is you're not here. You didn't say this specifically, but this is how I'm getting it. You're not here to save your children. You're here to guide them, right? So you said they have their own challenges. They're going to come up against their own. So that's something for me, and especially anyone that's an empath, intuitive,
Yeah.
clairsentient, like it's really, really heartbreaking when your child's going through a challenge.
Right.
Like when my son had intense school anxiety for a year and a half, and we had to figure out how to move through that as a family, it was like eating me alive. It
Ugh.
was horrific, and it broke my heart.
Yeah.
But that was something he needed to go through to find his inner strength and his inner power. And me as a mom, probably even, it like took me to a new level.
Right. Of course.
So we can't save our children. We can't swoop in and save them from everything. And I think a lot of parents our age, they are feeling like they want to save their kids from everything because
No.
a lot of us had hard childhoods. And so we're like swinging the pendulum so
Too
far,
far. Yeah.
but we can't do that because then they're not going to become who they're meant to be.
Resilient too. They'll
It's
be.
all about building resilience. Yeah. And there's this whole, so actually just did a podcast on this. So there's this amazing TED Talk. It's called The Secret to Raising Mentally Strong Children in a Fragile World. It's 20
Mm,
minutes. Everyone needs to watch it.
to watch that.
Game
We'll link it.
changer.
We'll link it.
Yeah, link it by Jennifer Cohen. And she talks about this, what's called like coddle culture.
Oh yeah.
And it's so easy to do. She was saying how like anxiety and depression and all these things are spiking. Of course, phones, social media, all the things, but also the children are being coddled. And so then when they're put in the real world, they don't know what the hell to do.
That's right.
Like these kids are taking their parents to job interviews.
Right.
It's
Right.
crazy.
No, we can't have that.
We can't have that. And so I think we need to swing the pendulum back to center, and
Center.
we need to help them build their resilience and be there as this support, as this stability, but also be like, you're strong. You got this. I know you can figure this out because you're such a powerful little guy. You're such a powerful little girl. You got this instead of saving them. So that would be my last conscious motherhood, parenthood tip.
Mic drop. And also, you know, letting them know it's okay to be in uncomfortable emotions. It's okay to be in uncomfortable situations, right? If we can heal that on earth, we'd have less war or maybe none. Okay. It's okay to be triggered. It's okay to not feel great all the time. That's the human experience. Teaching them duality at a young age is a good idea, you know? So I just
And
love
feel
that.
your feelings.
Yeah.
Because I
Through, all the
think
way through.
we were taught to stuff, a lot of us, I'm speaking for myself, but taught
We
to
were.
stuff our feelings
We were.
down.
We
Like
were.
that's not acceptable. You're going to throw a tantrum, you go in your room. No, 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 no. We can't do that. We need to make it even, it makes us uncomfortable. It's very triggering. It affects my nervous system when my kids are screaming. It's horrible. Sometimes I yell back, like I'm not gonna lie. It's hard, but it also increases my capacity for discomfort.
Yes.
And we
Yes.
have to teach them how to emotionally regulate and feel their feelings versus stuffing it
Capacity.
down. Keep their hearts open.
Most beautiful place to end.
Yeah.
Oh, I just love you so much. And
Oh, I love you.
your soul is just everything. And thank you for the work you're doing on earth. And thank you for your commitment to your journey, your life path, yourself, your beautiful family, your children, your husband. The divine definitely is so proud of you. I feel it, and I must tell you that. And so you should know that. And you're a shining beacon for so many, and certainly for me. So I thank you for your time today. And I love you so much.
No, thanks, Lo. I love you too. I'm so grateful for you.
We'll have you on again because I would love to like have you talk more openly, and actually parenting and family stuff is so important to House of Low and the values I have in House of Low. So let's have you on again soon. But thank you for being here today, my love. And may summer and May, we're recording in May, be just magical for you. I love you.
Thanks, Lo. Love you.
Thank you so much for listening to Mic Drop Sundrip. Join the community at houseoflow.co/mic drop sundrip. And remember, without truth, there can be no light. And without light, there can be no power.